You ever come in contact with a piece of art that seemed like it caught you at just the right time? Like all its themes were somewhere on your mind already, or the emotions it left you with were exactly what you needed to feel in that moment? I've been fortunate enough to have that twice this year. One was a film I'd actually been really looking forward to. The mind-melting, genre-warping, hilarious, and very emotionally affecting journey through the multiverse, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Fuck my drag, right?
The other one was something that I had no idea about before I played it on a whim one quiet Saturday afternoon in April. This was Jerrod Carmichael's very funny, intimate, moving, and revealing comedy special, Rothaniel. I have some thoughts. Let's talk about it. Rothaniel is Jerrod Carmichael's third special for HBO, and I think his first since the conclusion of his NBC sitcom, The Carmichael Show. I wasn't super familiar with his work before I watched Rothaniel, but I do know the guy has been in the comedy game for a minute. I've heard good things about him, so I decided to finally give it a shot, and I picked a great one to start. Maybe one of the worst things you can do to comedy is spend a long time explaining jokes. As someone who spent over an hour explaining an Adult Swim cartoon. Comedy is extremely subjective, obviously, so it's not that insightful for me to just tell you all the things I think are very funny in this show, because it's most of it. But I can tell you how it all made me feel, how I connected to it, what else it made me think about, and look a little bit into the craft of how it pulls all those things off. Because there is a little something more going on in here besides a guy getting on stage, sitting down, and telling jokes. This special has a binding theme: secrets. Big secrets, family secrets, secrets we keep from ourselves about ourselves. Secrets aren't just for spies or lingerie or people who identify as British.
They're for British eyes only.
For British eyes only.
It's this universal thing we all understand, but is also immediately interesting for a story. Escándalo. Exposing secrets. It also feels like a really appropriate topic for a medium that has evolved from simple setup and punchline to valorizing people who are willing to skillfully bare their soul, who share their insecurities, their shortcomings and fears, and makes us all feel a little better about our own. So, what does Jerrod reveal?
Yeah, I come from a long line of cool niggas.
First off, this man's name ain't even really Jerrod.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I thought we were being honest tonight.
His real name is actually one of his closest held secrets, one he doesn't reveal until the very end of the special. In the meantime, we're pulled into stories about infidelity, generational trauma, secrets kept to protect a parent, and secrets kept to protect himself. Each uncovering feels like Jerrod makes these 100 split decisions to keep going. There's a playful, coy hesitancy to putting it all out there, practically asking himself, am I revealing too much? But he goes through with it. And this goes more and more contemplative and deliberative as he gets closer to the big secrets. And I can read all of that partly through the notable level of intention behind Bo Burnham's direction. Oh yeah, Bo Burnham directed this. There's an introduction, a kind of prelude to everything to come. We see Jerrod's journey getting to the stage through the quiet, snowy streets of New York. A wistful, jazzy piano plays to settle us in, complemented by this patient, smoothly flowing editing. We jump back and forth from external world to the internal space of the comedy club. We move from wides, slowly getting closer to Jerrod as he makes his way. When he finally enters the club, he's bundled up, so the first thing he does is tear off his coat, hat, and scarf. A process of uncovering that kinda foreshadows the rest of the show as Jerrod takes off layer after layer of his internal life, his inclination toward privacy. It's all just really artfully done and effectively builds mood and tone, that being intimacy. I feel warm with this special. The rawness of Carmichael's performance and the visual language of Burnham's direction work in tandem to pull off that vibe. The performance is even more obvious to read, from the content to the body language, and it all kind of culminates into the subject that really takes over the special. Jerrod opens asking if the audience is comfortable. He calls them family. He says, "I need you in this moment." He feels the need to do all this setup in order to build the proper space to feel safe enough to reveal himself fully. He lets us know this is a coming out story.
And the secret is that I'm gay.
We should all at this point be familiar with the coming out story. We're all kind of primed to see this type of reveal about this specific life experience on camera. And yet, I think it's incredibly bold and important that Jerrod specifically does it here. He's mediating this identity as a black man who came from where he came from and is also attracted to men.
Because I can feel it, bro. I can feel it. There's a lot that happens coming out. I see the Yankee fitteds. Like, some of y'all just like, oh, shit. We at a gay show, bro.
And that can be a messy process of undoing. He's constantly qualifying himself.
I'm with you, bro. I'm from the hood. Sometimes I'll be in the shower like, oh, nigga, I'm really gay. Like,
he knows people in the audience and people watching will stop rocking with him. And that's not just the insecurity talking, that's real. FD Signifier has basically made an entire channel's worth of excellent content dissecting the complex web of social influences and cultural systems that go into constructing black male identity and types of hypermasculinity. And this is a good example of what it can look like to confront a lot of those points of conflict. And that way the special becomes kind of a fishbowl. We watch Jerrod unpacking a lot of that heavy baggage in real time from a slightly different vantage than we're used to seeing in the mainstream. When the moment happens, he's deflecting the uncomfortable feelings in his audience with jokes, highlighting the absurdity of the situation. We're allowed to just sit in that moment as the crowd figures out how to react to Jerrod's truth. The interplay of reveal and reaction is part of the magic of Rothaniel, and there is a lot going on just in that moment.
surprise, surprise. No more secrets. I'm gonna tell y'all. Yes.
Part of the rawness of the special is the feeling that this is all kind of unfolding. And nothing gets that across like the silences. Ironically, the points where Jerrod isn't telling a joke, he isn't saying a word, just sitting with what he's uncovering about himself. It reminded me of the silent intimacies that punctuate scenes throughout the 2016 film Moonlight. That too is a film about intimacy, letting the guard down of black masculinity. It similarly develops a feeling of closeness and warmth with how it films its subjects. Fun fact, Carmichael actually starred in a Jay-Z music video for his song Moonlight, named after the film. Like, y'all think Jay-Z knew? Anyway, in Rothaniel, the silence, the deliberation carries the weight of a secret like this. Jerrod himself calls out the obvious, that a lot of people in that crowd may be genuinely uncomfortable with what is happening. And this moment isn't treated as salacious or scandalous. Again, that mood of facilitated intimacy opens up this moment to be beautifully vulnerable. We know from research on the nature of secrets that concealment is active. It takes a huge amount of energy. A lot of concealment involves little strategies and behaviors like covering, which is the process of holding back part of your identity to avoid appearing different from others. The difficult and draining part of this is that in social environments where you feel obligated to be and do not feel safe to uncover, it can feel like there's no end in sight. You're constantly on. Avoiding words and topics burdens the mind and takes a lot of energy. These kinds of secrets can be exhausting to maintain, and this may be stressful for black men in particular who are already used to being hyper aware of the gaze, that's G-A-Z-E, of others, whether that be the watchful gaze of a store clerk, the quote-unquote threat assessment gaze of authority figures, or the fetishizing gaze of non-black sexual partners. And that's not to ignore the gaze of male friends, constantly assessing each other for appropriate levels of masculinity, looking them over to make sure they got enough man in them. Uncovering yourself to the wrong person may even feel like relinquishing some aspect of your manhood in ways I'll elaborate on in a minute. Some of the conflict at the root of these kinds of secrets is that we want to unburden ourselves. We want to be able to share with people, but no, we can't. There are negative internal stresses associated with feeling inauthentic, especially around peers or people we respect. Jerrod expresses a lot of this type of stress as what kept him in the closet, to the point where he confesses that at one time he thought he'd rather die than come out. If I could describe the conflict that may lead someone to say something like that, basically there's a lot of internalized social pressure to be honest about yourself and move with integrity, and simultaneously very real social reasons why it may actually be better to conceal, to cover yourself. The real fear of being rejected by loved ones, not feeling supported enough in your immediate community or family can be devastating. While this may be mostly emotional or psychological for people coming out in adulthood, I should acknowledge the more dire situation for young people. Rejection from the home or communal systems of care remains a persistent threat to the lives and well-being of queer youth in the US. This leads to a lot of people in precarious situations doing the obvious safety calculus and holding off on revealing their truth until they're able to support themselves financially. For the kids who can't hide, they have even less options. For closeted adults who don't rely on a guardian, it would be theoretically easier to come out, although at that point you've now spent all of your formative years in young adulthood covering, managing secrets, pretending to be someone else. The prospect of finally coming out and upending how people see you might be the last thing you want to do. You're still figuring yourself out. And the longer you wait, the longer you withhold this information about yourself from people you care about, people you're close to, it can be harder and harder. To go through with it anyway can be a practice in bravery and a step towards self-actualization, to exist without a cover. In Rothaniel, once we've crossed that Rubicon of Jerrod coming out as a gay man, relinquishing one of his last big secrets, I feel like I'm finally seeing him for real. And the special changes.
I don't know what will happen. You guys got any ideas?
The moment that Jerrod says he's gay feels like a natural shift in the special. We learn more about why this is such a painful secret to live with, why he struggled to embody it out in the open and still struggles to relate to straight male friends. It sounds like his coming out to himself involved letting go of a particular idea of masculinity.
Oh, nigga, I'm really gay.
Again, I'm thinking of Moonlight, where we see how this sweet boy nicknamed Little grows into the rageful and hurt Chiron and develops into the steely, closed trap of a man who just goes by the name Black. The film can be seen as a microcosm of a particular track of Black boyhood.
See, Little, I knew you wasn't soft.
You can see it as survival mode, but it's also a trap that locks some men into cages of their own misery. It's only when those walls come down, when Chiron feels safe enough to let go of that protective front, only then does he let himself be seen.
Running around, catching up all that light. In moonlight, black boys look blue.
He doesn't get washed out by the moonlight, and that's a good thing. I want to continue normalizing more emotional expression among Black men, letting Black boys be able to share some of those emotions with friends and peers without fear of being soft, no matter what their sexual orientation ends up being. Not getting in the habit of keeping all those damn secrets.
At some point, you gotta decide for yourself who you want to be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you.
And it feels important for Jerrod to put himself through that and have us be a part of it as an audience. At that moment, Jerrod continues to be funny, but invites the audience to more of a conversation. People sound genuinely concerned for his relationship with his mother, how unburdening his own secrets has impacted it. It adds to the warmth and opens the special up to not just airing dirty laundry, but feeling like Jerrod unfetters something in his soul that still troubles him. It frees him, and this stops feeling like a straightforward comedy special. Bo Burnham, the director, is kinda known for deconstructing the artifice containing comedy as an art form, for being hyper self-aware of the performer-audience relationship. I see Rothaniel as serving a similar function here, but Jerrod breaks down the walls of a typical comedy special by personalizing it with his raw emotions and centering connection. It feels like a liberating moment for a stand-up set that matches the tone of this moment in Jerrod's life. And one of my favorite moments of the special, and definitely a highlight, came after one audience member asked Jerrod if he regrets coming out to his mom. And good for him, he says he doesn't regret it. He says that as much as his mother believes in God, he believes in personal growth and feeling free. He reiterates he feels free, and I just love that little moment. It feels like he's confessing a self-affirming truth to himself. And not only is that heartwarming, but it rings true. Now, I'm not any real authority on the gay experience. I'm not the Pride Police, the Rainbow Ranger, the Queerness Constable. I'm not the Sodomy Sheriff. I ain't the Ligibika Lieutenant.
Oh, LGBTQ. Nah, that's cool.
But I think this is a very relatable story to many black cis men struggling to reconcile their feelings for other men and their masculine identity they've spent their whole lives cultivating, socializing into. Growing up, you hear messages of what not to be, what not to look like, not to sound sus, not to walk like a punk, not to look fruity, not to be a little, unique. So what happens when you discover some of what comes naturally to you, whole parts of yourself aren't appropriate to present in public as a male? Secrets. So watching a man let go of some of that on stage is beautifully cathartic. There's a freedom in embracing those parts of yourself, to tell shame and stigma, to go to hell and live authentically. Slide down that metaphorical stripper pole to Hades and twerk on Satan. Letting go of a secret allows you the freedom to imagine and create a life outside the walls of that secret, and the possibilities of life open up from there. As the English bard Mika once put it, I can be brown, I can be blue, I can be violet sky, I can be hurtful, I can be purple, I can throw that ass in a circle. You can live a life unfettered. Because when you got an icebox where your heart's supposed to be, you're missing vital parts of a common human experience. And that's to you no matter where you fall on the Kinsey scale. Masculinity can be oppressive if you try to make it a box you stuff yourself into rather than the skin you live in. And letting that go can feel like a huge weight off your shoulders. And that's on top of the immense feeling of relief gained by just not having to constantly maintain a secret. We start and end on a snowy street lamp. It could be a symbol of enlightenment, stepping into the light from the darkness of hiding in the shadow. I can see it like how the moonlight illuminates Chiron to see his inner desires, where he doesn't have to conform to a cold black masculinity that his environment boxed him into. He defies it. In that moonlight where black boys look blue, in the street light, and the spotlight on stage, we see Jerrod. And he looks good. Free.
I have I want to talk about secrets. Secrets. Ooh. Should whisper it, right?
When I tell y'all this special came out at just the right time for me, because in early April 2022, your boy was down bad. I was going through some things. I mean, I got issues, so I guess I'm always going through something. But let's be honest, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Either way, I needed a laugh, although I wasn't sure where to find some. In Rothaniel, I found a special that allowed me to get that release of laughter and left me with plenty to chew on afterward. After witnessing a lot of faves fall out of fashion or just completely dissolve in their own bullshit, or just turning me away with not great, borderline harmful material, it was nice to settle into something that gave me exactly what I needed. In the special about secrets, what Jerrod Carmichael truly reveals is that he's not only a talented comedian, but a wonderful storyteller and a compassionate soul that I think is probably needed in that space right now. I'm a new fan for sure. I also like that the special hints at some of the contradictions of our current moment. Like, coming out can in hindsight feel like such an inconsequential, unremarkable moment in the grand scheme of someone's life. But clearly this is a big deal for Jerrod to come to terms with emotionally, and if we're being real about it, there's at least a tacit acknowledgement of the nebulous undercurrent of homophobia in our culture that we all just kind of vibe inside of.
And with all that early success, you felt it was important to make an announcement recently.
He said he was gay, so what?
It's just like knowing, like growing up, like I'm grown up to hate this shit. I'm not supposed to
Grown up to
ever
hate
like
what?
this.
Hate what? Hate what?
Homosexuality, gay
Why?
people. Come on now.
Why are you going to
If
hate
you're really
it?
from the hood, you know.
This place where nobody cares about your sexuality, but if we're being really real, there are these uncomfortable ways we treat young boys and discourage behavior that appears in any way, fruity, sus, whatever. And if we're being really, really real, a decent amount of people are just a little scandalized by uncovering a gay.
Homosexuals?
It's messy and not quite on the surface, but just kind of lives there to be observed in all its raw messiness. Again, when it comes to the raw feeling of the special, I'm reflecting on how much I enjoyed that, honestly. Watching a man really grapple with something emotionally and confessing to strangers is kind of bizarre when you take a step back from the fishbowl. It feels slightly voyeuristic, but you remember we were invited in, and the intimate tone set around everything really pays off to make this experience as wholesome and less cringy and creepy as possible. I think about the ways we impact the maintenance of each other's secrets and whether they stay secrets. We as communities play a role in creating these spaces that allow people to reveal something like coming out of the closet. We can make other people feel safe to share that with us. We can take an environment fenced in by conservative gender roles, one that rewards cruelty and judgment, and we can terraform that into a place of openness, acceptance, genuine care, and support for the people around us. We can cultivate new spaces for love to grow. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, we'd get that energy right back. That's not a real statistic, but y'all get what I'm saying. Making spaces where people don't have to cover is a practice that's highly intentional, and the results can be immensely, wonderfully impactful. I just want to highlight this as something we as groups and individuals have the power to do. So maybe we should just do it more often. Compassion, open-mindedness, it's a vibe, it's groovy. I know I can't tell y'all what to do, but just, for your consideration. One of the things I love about Rothaniel is how Jerrod models what building those spaces can look like. And I'm glad he did, because he created a piece of art so inviting, hopefully we can all reflect on our own secrets. I definitely took inventory and considered my own secrets, like the secrets I keep from all of you. Yeah, you. For one, GoldFro is not my birth name.
Oh my God. Oh, please.
GoldFro is a digital avatar born out of the union of Adobe Creative Cloud and YouTube tutorials. A personal cover to protect myself from a very unkind internet. I kind of like to think of this sometimes as my Matrix persona. While during the day, I work at Business Corp LLC. In my free time, I'm clickety-clacking on the laptop, hoping to encourage deeper thinking while trying to expand my own consciousness. The secrets work vice versa, I guess, because it's not like I share this nerdy hobby, obsession, whatever with my coworkers. When I'm at work, I just want to clock in, get my work done, and clock right back out. There's a little part of me that feels the need to gatekeep this aspect of my life to protect my outlet for self-expression from this other environment of obligation, where I've honestly never felt like I belong. So I keep it to myself for the most part, and generally my mood is,
I don't want to share this with y'all. I'm sorry, I don't.
So trust, even though I may technically be two-dimensional, I got layers. Secrets. Some things I really connected with in the special weren't even really like the conscious secrets. Jerrod ends up confronting the subject of speaking to his mother. For me, it brought up the things that become secret because they go unsaid for so long. His mom basically ices him out and just prevents any dialogue from talking about his sexuality or his personal life at all. And I'm still processing that boundary of privacy and what can just be shared about yourself. Because I definitely have regrets, like I think many of us do. I've hushed myself when maybe I shouldn't have. Things I just never felt safe to reveal. I could spout mouthfuls of unspoken emotion, all the things I never said. A mouth awash with words, stuffing my cheeks and coiling under my tongue as I bite them back. Parting words of passion meant for those I took for granted now lodged back in my throat, inflaming my tonsils, and tonsillitis ain't no joke. And there they go, all the unfathered thank yous, the unsung I love yous, the I miss yous and I need yous. There go the questions and unsolvable queries, all turn a little sour in my mouth as they spoil. Sometimes I just wanted to cuss a motherfucker out and never did. Trust they had it coming, but I pay 'em dust because I can't hold on to those. What remains are the pleas for folks to stay, cries for help, final goodbyes to those who died or those I just couldn't follow. The phone calls never dialed, conversations never started, adulation unexpressed, and the shame unvoiced, swallowed. The brutal honesty, the long apologies, the vulnerabilities and fears never whispered into even willing ears, all 'cause I just couldn't. All these words impacted in my gums like a wisdom tooth, twisted up and swollen at the root. Rotted clots from times I was too scared or unwise to just let it out. Truth. If you feel safe and have something to say, maybe just say it. Life's too short for some secrets. But I also understand if you don't feel safe enough to uncover right now. Speaking for myself as a Black queer man, I see you. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say,
Be who you are for your pride. Don't hide.
hold up, this really how you gonna end the video? Yup. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you and welcome to everybody who's subbed over the past few months. I really appreciated all the kind words and thoughtful comments. All that has meant so much to me. And thank you truly for being so patient with this new video. Hopefully Zaddy algorithm isn't so mad at me that none of you even get alerted that this has come out. One way to actually help that is subbing and ringing the notification bell. Also liking, sharing, leaving a comment, all that good stuff if you enjoyed your time here and want to see more. For anyone coming off the Y2K video, I will make that part 2. Probably. Anyway, on to the next one. Let's keep making spaces where people feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable and don't have to cover all the time. Peace. The M for M enforcer, the sissy superintendent, the verse vanguard, the bottom bureaucrat, the bussy brigadier, the homo headmaster, the wig snatch warden, ain't the glizzy gobbler guard.